so I'm here to do the this and that book tag. I have my mug of coffee, I have the questions down here, and yeah, let's get straight into it. I was tagged by Jen and the tag was created by Kelly, both of whose channels and videos I will link down below. I hope you enjoy. So the first question is, what is the oldest book you own and the newest book you own? So oldest being the oldest book you personally have owned, like the book that has been in your life the longest, I guess. And I have obviously a ton of children's picture books I think are still in boxes in the attic, but something that I still have like out, which is on my bookshelf because I love it so much, and it's probably the oldest book on my actual bookshelves, is Amazing Adventures of Soupy Boy by Damon Bernard. This I got when I was a really little child. It's kind of like cartoony-esque, like that. There's even like little puzzles in it, and it's a little story about a little baby who falls into a vat of soup and turns into a soup can with like superhero powers. I adored this book as a child. I read it to death. It's all like beat up, if you can see. Honestly, like this was probably my favourite book before I started reading proper books. And my newest book is actually 3 books because they all came together, and from Madras Press, which is like a little indie book press that Mercedes over at Mercy's Bookish Musing talked about, and I couldn't resist picking up a few of their books. I got Sweet Tomb by Trini Dalton, Stone Animals by Kelly Jink, and Tales Told in Oz by Gregory Maguire, and these are so pretty and I cannot wait to read them. The next question is, what is your physically biggest book and your physically smallest book? And there's a nice little bit of symmetry in these 2 books. So the biggest physically book I own is probably this one, which is Starring Sherlock Holmes by David Stuart Davies, which is a book all about the different television and film and theatre adaptations of Sherlock Holmes, with my all-time favourite Jeremy Brett here on the front cover, and this is just like a massive coffee table hardback book. It's got Basil Rathbone on the back, and yeah, I love this book so much. And my physically smallest book was actually a gift as well, and in this occasion it was from my dad, and it's also about Sherlock Holmes. So it's this tiny little book, Sherlock Holmes: The Essential Mysteries in One Sitting, published by Running Press, and they do a whole load of these tiny little books, but they are quite the size difference. The next question is, what is your longest book and what is your shortest book? Now, my longest book was not difficult to figure out, as it is 1,166 pages, and it is Varney the Vampire by James Malcolm Rymer. And not only is this like 1,000,000 pages, not literally obviously, but it's the tiniest font and it's so crammed in there. It's ridiculous. I've never managed to get past page 100 on this because it's just so big, but I do really want to read it, and I've really enjoyed what I've read, and I think I need to make like a plan of like, you know, 20 pages a day until I finish it. And it's just one of the original vampire stories. It was originally serialized in a magazine in the 1800s, so that's why it's so chunky, a physical book. My shortest book is probably The Unknown Unknown Bookshops and the Delight of Not Getting What You Want by Mark Forsyth. But all of the versions of this video I've seen, I feel like this has been everyone's shortest book, so I'm just going to say something else which is like 5 pages longer. And it's actually Jen's The Hungry Ghost Festival, which is her poetry collection, published by the Rialto, and this was absolutely wonderful. It's 31 pages of really lovely poetry, and I highly recommend checking it out. The next question is, what is your most expensive book and what is your biggest bargain? Now, my most expensive book is not really a book you read, but it is no doubt the most expensive book I own, and it's an intermediate Greek-English lexicon. Yeah, so it's basically my ancient Greek to English dictionary, but it's huge. It's the middle Liddell & Scott. It's not even the biggest one. This, like, it's not the smallest either. It's the middle one, which it was really expensive. I can't remember exactly how much it was, and it doesn't have a price on it, but I remember it being like quite a dent in the bank at the time, but a good investment. And my biggest bargain has to be this book, which is Terry Pratchett's A Discworld Fable, The Last Hero, illustrated by Paul Kidby. So it's Terry Pratchett's The Last Hero is the illustrated edition, which looks like this, and it's quite big. Illustrated book, which are usually quite expensive. I found this in the Poundland. This cost £1. It was in the Poundland. Next question is, what is your most beautiful cover and your most ugly cover? Now, I usually go for this book when people ask me what my most beautiful cover is, and it's Angela Carter's The Book of Fairy Tales, which is stunning. Look at that. That is a piece of physical art. It is so, so beautiful. It's even got like a ribbon to mark your page. It's just a beautifully put together book and I love it. And probably my ugliest cover, and I don't have a lot of ugly books, I must say, because I like pretty books, but this is a book that I got when I was maybe like 13 and really enjoyed it and don't want to chuck it out because I still enjoy the book, but it is an ugly cover. And it is Scottish Murders, published by Lomond Books, and this is just like sort of famous, legendary or real like murder stories from Scottish history. Next is, what is your most favourite book and what is one you hated? So one of my favourite books, and the one I probably go for the most when people ask what my favourite book is The Penelopiad by Margaret Atwood, which is a retelling of Homer's Odyssey from his wife Penelope's perspective, set in the original time period in ancient Greece. I adore this book. Funnily enough, if I hate a book, I don't usually keep it if I did own it, but one that's still on my shelves because I read it quite recently and didn't like it is Tom McCarthy's Staten Island. But the thing is, I don't understand because I know people whose tastes I really respect really like it. I really didn't like it. No. Next question is, name a book that made you laugh and a book that made you cry. So the book that makes me laugh every single time I read it, which is quite often, is Going Postal by Terry Pratchett, which is about Moise van Litvik, who has to revitalise the postal service of Ankh-Morpork in the Discworld, and so funny. And a book that made me cry most recently is probably K.G. Johnson's At the Mouth of the River of the Bees, which I've been reading on my Kindle for a while now. I like some of the stories, don't like some of the other stories, but one of the stories in it, which is the title story, has like a dying dog in it, and like dying dogs like crush me. Like they really make me cry. Next is, what is a book that warmed your heart and what is a book that made you shiver? Now, a book that warmed my heart recently was Ali Smith's Girl Meets Boy, which just deals with gender, sexuality, sexual orientation, biological sex, all of these kind of issues in a really wonderful way, and it just warmed my heart. One that made me shiver recently was John Burnside's Glister, or Glister, I keep saying Glister, but I've heard people say Glister as well. This is a kind of creepy book set in a kind of dead-end village where there used to be a nuclear power plant and people are very ill and young boys have been going missing for years and years. It deals heavily with themes of life and death, and there's also some really creepy characters, and yeah, so this gave me the shivers. Next is, what is a book you can't wait to read and one you've been putting off? So I know the next book I plan on picking up once I'm finished the two books I'm reading just now is Morven Collar by Alan Warner, which is a Scottish modern classic. It's about a young woman's reaction to her boyfriend having committed suicide in their kitchen, and I think it's meant to be a bit weird. Now, one that I've been putting off for years because of the size, and I think I should maybe get the audiobook or download it on my Kindle or even just get the paperback, because I think it's this hardback that's making me not read it, and it's The Blind Assassin by Margaret Atwood. I love this cover, I love this edition, but it's so intimidating and so hefty and you can't really carry it around, and yeah, it's just, I've started it a couple of times and got like 50 pages in, but I have never got any further. And next is, recommend a book you want more people to read and a book that was disappointing. Many books have disappointed me. I'm gonna go for the obvious here and see The Book Thief by Margaret Zuzak. Don't know why that gets the hype it does. I thought it was dull. Did not inspire me in any way. A book that I want more people to read, although I'm happy to say I feel like since I started BookTube and talking about this book more, I know at least a few people have read it that I don't think would have read it, which makes my heart sing, which is Daphnis and Chloe by Longus, which is an ancient Greek novel. So short and so wonderful, and one of my favourite books of all time. Question number 11 is the next book you want to buy and the next you'll be getting rid of from your shelves. I don't get rid of books too often, but I imagine I'll be getting rid of Staten Island at some point because I don't really want it taking up space on my shelves. The next book I'm really excited to be released, which hasn't come out yet, doesn't come out till the beginning of next year, is Tim Whitmarsh's new book on ancient atheism called Battling the Gods, and I've been excited for this book for like ever. I feel like it's been at least a year. I've known it's been coming out for a while. I follow Tim Whitmarsh on Twitter. It sounds amazing. Tim Whitmarsh is one of my favourite ancient Greek scholars, and I think this topic is going to be really interesting, and I'm really excited for his book to come out. Those are all the questions. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time guys, happy reading. I'll see you all again soon. Bye!